Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Writing and Publication Podcast. My name is Jason Zhang. Joined with me today, we have Alfred Kwan, Marshall Ma, and Paul Zhao.
Truly an incredible cast of characters.
Incredible cast of characters, indeed. Now, today's topic is top 3 video games you play during the quarantine, or just top 3 games in general. So, I'm interested to hear you guys' perspectives. And maybe at the end, we'll make a top 10 list of video games you play during the quarantine. So,
Well, I'll start off with my philosophy coming. There's a lot of different types of games out there. There's story games, like Walking Dead and like stuff like that. And then there's like FPSs, there's like story. There's a lot of different types of games. But for the purposes of what we're talking about today, quarantine games, these types of games have to be fast-paced, fun, and always playable.
well, not necessarily. Sometimes.
If you're asking me for the criteria of what we're talking about today, I don't know. I feel like single-player games wouldn't really fit because you can't play that forever.
Well, that is true, but
Are you challenging Minecraft?
oh,
Well,
ooh.
Minecraft isn't a single-player game.
Well, technically
Yes,
it is. It is.
Minecraft is a single player
What's
game.
its like main mode, single player?
No, its
Checkmate,
main mode
stupid.
is playing on Mineplex and Hypixel. You don't understand the Minecraft.
Yeah, but you can also play Minecraft in the single player mode, and it is
That's
enjoyable.
what's beautiful about Minecraft. You can play it in any mode, so I mean, you can classify it in like any sort of sense.
Well, just because a game doesn't have a good multiplayer doesn't mean that it's a bad quarantine game. Sometimes the story might be really good, and you could play it over and over again.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of story games, but you just play it once, and then do you really want to play it
I
again?
mean, you can also play for the gameplay, not just the story itself.
Well, I mean, depends the game you're playing.
It does depend, but I'm saying that it shouldn't be like a hard criteria.
Yeah, okay.
It's just some things to consider. So, do you have your first pick?
My first pick is Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
I kind of agree with
Oh,
that,
I'm
but
surprised.
yeah, I'm not surprised either. But, I mean, it's a pretty fun game. Yeah, I think the main attraction is that now it's free, which is quite nice. That means everybody can get it. It is very accessible.
Well,
It's
we're all
kinda
being
hacker-ridden,
honest here. Yeah, playing
It
CS:GO
is.
for free is not a fun experience. You're probably gonna experience hackers like every game you play. There's at least
But
one
at least you
sort
could
of
play with your friends, and your friends will probably have access to it since it is free.
That's true. Because peasants like Marshall can't afford video games.
Attack the point, not the character. But anyways, continuing on.
Got him.
Also, they recently added in the Warzone mode, but I don't really like Battle Royale games. So I'm just pointing that out as an additional feature that it has.
Warzone.
I've never played it. I don't like Battle Royale things.
Yeah, I've never played it either. Honestly, it's
You
just about
should.
the comp.
It's a
Eh,
free
I don't know. I don't like Battle Royale games. It's just me
If
though.
you want to play a battle royale game, play Fortnite. Don't play
Fortnite.
CS:GO Danger Zone.
Fortnite.
Oh yeah, it's called Danger Zone.
Oh, it's not called. Oh, I think I'm thinking about Call of Duty Warzone, which I also have not played.
No one has.
Well,
Oh,
best
I
things
don't know.
about this game. What would you say are the best things?
Oh
about
well,
this
I'd say the gunplay is pretty solid. The pistols feels
Well,
pretty good. The guns feel pretty
a-
good.
It's a skill-based shooter, so
Yes.
you got solid mechanics.
But I also
Mhm.
like the fact that there's a decent amount of strategy and teamwork behind it.
Crispy one taps. Oh yeah. I mean, if you have
One tabs.
if you have a 5Q out there, you're gonna be throwing beautiful nades, mollies, smokes, flash.
Yeah,
grenades.
and there's also a certain
Incredible
dependence on map knowledge,
That is true.
knowing the
That's
map.
very
So
true.
there's also a factor of strategy and tactics involved in the game, which I think is really, really good.
You guys
So-
are missing the point here.
What is the
Well,
point?
tell us what is the point?
What's the
One
point?
of one of the most critical selling points of a Valve game is that the source engine is incredibly versatile. You want to play hide and seek, you can do that in CS:GO. You want to surf, you can do that in CS:GO.
Yeah, but-
Therefore, CS:GO is not only just one game packed by itself. There's actually hundreds of different games created by everyone else packed into one.
That's
Speaking
true.
of it,
But
yeah,
nobody
so-
plays surf, so.
Anyways, that kind of brings me up to my next point. Like also think kind of going with the Counter-Strike point. Team Fortress 2 is also a really solid quarantine game.
That's true.
It's
I disagree. Without cosmetics, you're gonna get bullied.
Marshall, everyone bullies you, and you still have hats. So like, I don't see your point here.
Marshall hacks in every game he plays.
No, but Team Fortress 2, it's certainly a lot more childish than Counter-Strike.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot more childish.
I mean, piss bottles are a real weapon used by
Jurate,
citizens.
yes, I know. So I think also it depends on your choice, or sorry, taste when it comes
I'm not
to
sure if
first-person
childish
shooters.
is
A lot more
word.
cartoonish. How about that?
I mean, I don't think
Comical.
there's anything wrong with
You can't deny the art style is, yes, what you said, comical.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There is nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying it's also an excellent quarantine game. It's free,
Yeah, that's true.
and it also has a bunch of game modes.
Well, I
Really
would
fun
say
to
if you
play.
want a better version of TF2, you play Overwatch.
That's a fat lie, Alfred.
That's a
I actually think that Team Fortress 2 is superior to Overwatch in many ways.
It is.
It is.
First and foremost, the characters.
Tell me about the characters.
So the characters in Team Fortress 2 are a lot more nuanced and a lot more well developed since well, I know Overwatch kind of does the same thing, but Valve publishes comics for their characters. I know Overwatch has like cinematics and stuff, but another reason why Team Fortress 2 characters are so much more interesting is because they are. I mean, the medic is a mad German scientist that stole someone's skeleton and lost his medical license because of that.
Well, are you
Sorry,
just
what?
gonna ignore
He also
all the backstory?
surgically attached more souls to himself and won a deal with the devil.
Are you
This
just
is
gonna
highly
ignore
relatable.
all the Overwatch fan fiction and Tracer?
Well, there's also Team
No,
Fortress
just
2
count.
fan fiction. There's also Team Fortress 2
Nobody
fan
reads
fiction.
them.
Overwatch characters are incredibly shallow. let's
They're
say
also
that.
incredibly bland. It's always,
But is that why
some
you-
brilliant person.
Is that why you do you play TF2 because of the story that has nothing to do with the gameplay?
But it does
Yeah.
make the game world more immersive, and it does make you feel better in some ways.
Yeah, online multiplayer games are really about creating narratives in each time you play.
And it's also about embodying the character you play as. Although it is kind
I
of
would
hard
argue
with
it's just about shooting people's heads off.
maybe in competitive.
So
Yeah.
why aren't we just blobs with guns? Why do
Well, I mean,
we have
that's-
characters?
That is basically what CS:GO is. And we just talked about that.
I mean, yes, but
CS:GO has a story.
it kind of
The
does.
Does it, though?
operations.
What do you? Well,
The
what story?
operations.
It's not a story.
You just haven't played long enough.
Operations are just an
Plus,
excuse for
Overwatch
Valve
costs
to make
money. Team Fortress 2 doesn't.
More of it, like, okay, you
Limited.
pay for the game.
Also, I don't know. Team Fortress 2, the world is just a lot more hilarious.
Are we factoring in cost?
No, not really. Do you remember the expiration date cinematic? Also, the Meet the Team cinematics are much better than what Overwatch has. You know, the Meet the Team
If we're
cinematics?
talking graphics, I just like the art style of Overwatch, personally.
Yeah, but yeah.
I think it's a little
Fair point, fair point.
Mhm. The Team Fortress 2 graphics are a lot more like grounded in reality.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. This all depends on your taste, of course.
Well,
There's
yeah,
nothing wrong with liking,
So,
you know,
You
Overwatch.
can like whatever you want.
Yeah, but I'm saying that, at least in my opinion, Team Fortress 2 is superior to Overwatch.
Okay.
All right, so moving on. A game that I think it's a single player game, first of all, but I believe that BioShock would be quite an excellent quarantine game.
All three of them
Yes.
now available in a remastered bundle.
Well, it's because number one, the story is really
Sublime, absolutely sublime.
Well, maybe the third one. The gameplay is also quite good. One of the best. But the gameplay is nothing to scoff at. It's really good. And plus, you get a decent amount of playtime in BioShock. Also, I'm pretty sure there are new Game Plus features on probably one of some of the newer BioShock titles. Oh, it's also very philosophically deep, so if you're into that stuff, BioShock's for you.
Philosophically deep.
It is philosophically deep. The first BioShock covers objectivism. The main character, Andrew Ryan, is an anagram for Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged. And in the game, you could see like kind of like a visually similar statue. It takes a lot of its influence from Atlas Shrugged, the idea of so basically in the story, Andrew Ryan created this underwater city called Rapture, right? That there's no regulations, you could do whatever
Oh,
you
wait,
want.
spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers. My bad. Well, I mean, we haven't really touched any plot things yet. We just know that it's an underwater city called Rapture. But from this point on, spoiler alert. And it's basically talking about, right, there's no regulation in Rapture, and everybody came to
Marshall's
Rapture.
favorite.
Yes, the brightest and the best, but then a lot of technological advancements were made in Rapture, but eventually the entire city collapsed due to drug addiction. So it kind of raises the question.
Just like Marshall.
It's like, well,
Got him.
and Andrew Ryan believed in objectivism. It's like every man should just work for his own happiness, or woman. And that's what everybody in Rapture did. They worked for their own happiness, and eventually the entire city kind of collapsed.
The lessons.
And the secondary theme would be control and destiny, because spoilers. Throughout the entire story of Bioshock 1, you're actually mind controlled by Frank Fontaine, and he used the code word "Would you kindly," and then that would hypnotize you, and you would follow his orders. And it's quite an interesting twist.
You should probably cut that part out. It's massive spoiler right there.
I already warned them that there would be spoilers.
Massive.
What's the point of? You just shouldn't spoil at all for these story-focused games.
Well, I mean, especially we're asking these people to play the game. It's stupid.
Well, you can still play it for the gameplay. Plus, it didn't spoil the story for Bioshock 2 or Infinite, so they're still there.
Well, I mean, you spoiled the entire first game.
2 is.
Do y'all want to restart? We're just having an argument now.
Isn't that the entire point?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's a podcast.
That's true.
All right.
What
Paul.
are you talking about next? Well, I mean, we can always cut stuff up.
What's your choice?
I'm gonna go with Terraria.
Terraria, excellent choice. Their Journey's End update should be coming out.
That's true.
Despite COVID-19. I've always liked Terraria, although it does get a little bit tedious.
Playable 2D Minecraft.
Well, let's have this debate: Minecraft versus Terraria.
Both have their own.
Apples and oranges. They're incomparable. One's an adventure game. One's a sandbox game.
That's true, but
lots of people build in Terraria. It's a pretty active community.
But much less so than Minecraft.
Yeah, since it's two-dimensional.
There's less creational appeal to most of the people.
But it doesn't mean you can't do it. I think each has their own advantages. Have their own strong suits.
Terraria has a lot more fantasy in it.
Yes.
Has like
a lot more focus on combat.
Very focused on boss battles.
It's a world that's more alive.
It's also a smaller world.
In Minecraft, you build your own world.
Yeah.
Which does get lonely sometimes.
It does.
If you're not playing with friends.
Unless you have friends, in which case.
Yeah. There's also mods. There's also mods for Minecraft.
Or both games.
I mean, mods make a community. I mean, mods are extremely vital.
Mods are honestly the best thing ever about
Have you guys seen Minecraft RTX?
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool. Man.
Off track.
No, we could go on this tangent. It's fine. I just find it amazing that graphics technology has advanced so far.
Well, I mean, the first thing, we finally have a use for ray tracing. That's cool. And I mean, this just makes Minecraft so. I mean, it just
works.
It's beautiful, man.
I mean,
it's better than any shaders mods that are.
That is very true. Ray tracing.
Marginally better, I would say.
Amazing technology.
I don't know. The lighting is really something else.
All right. So yeah, I don't know. Terraria is a pretty solid choice. I would agree with that. Especially the boss battles, yeah. Moving on. Marshall?
I would like to recommend the Dark Souls series, barring Dark Souls 2.
Why not Dark Souls 2?
Because Dark Souls 2 is considered detached from the series by most fans. It's almost considered its own game.
Interesting.
Due to the game director Miyazaki being absent for the development of Dark Souls 2, it is completely different in terms of even just the controls. They're all different compared to Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls.
I've never actually played Dark Souls before, but I heard it's a very difficult game.
No, I would say the difficulty is pretty much a myth perpetuated by the gaming community. For example, Dark Souls is really a game about pattern. If you like rhythm games, well, I shouldn't say that.
You like Osu, play Dark Souls.
I shouldn't say that.
Totally
Dark
the
Souls-
same thing. No, but
Dark
no,
Souls-
I get your point. I've watched like a boss battle analysis, and they and all the bosses do follow a specific pattern similar to a rhythm game.
Well, that can get
So-
monotonous at some. You just
However,
Yes, that is true. But there are many bosses in Dark Souls.
But Dark Souls bosses, while behaving in rhythm, is also extremely erratic. You never know what's the next move the boss is gonna pull.
Unless you
That's not very
unless you've
rhythm
played
game.
against
that
it.
doesn't really make any sense.
Unless you've played against the boss like 15 times.
That's why people die a lot to them and eventually beat them, because they study their patterns, and then eventually, they get hold of themselves. And just
So
do it.
it's just a rhythm game. It's like Geometry Dash.
I wouldn't say so. There's also a pretty alive multiplayer element in Dark Souls.
Ah,
PvP
also
is-
mods. I think. I don't know actually.
There are.
Oh,
Dark
cool.
Souls is not a game you would play for its mods. Let's just say that.
I mean, what game would you play for mods? Mods just kind of make.
Minecraft.
Okay,
GTA.
one exception, two exceptions. Actually, no. I think mods just enhance the game overall. The game should still be playable in the vanilla state.
Skyrim.
Okay, that's fair. But then it's a
Bethesda game.
Bethesda game, and the only good Bethesda game is Doom
What
and
about
Doom
Fallout?
Eternal.
What
Eh,
about Fallout?
Fallout 4.
hmm. Fallout 4 is pretty weak, I guess. I don't know.
Weak.
I prefer Fallout 3 or New Vegas.
It's the only Fallout game, barring 76, that's currently on the 64-bit platform. So it's a lot more
I know.
Yes, but
graphically advanced.
Vegas has never crashed for me.
Yep. And Fallout 3 story is somewhat more coherent.
It's alright. It's definitely
Moving
a
on.
story.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Moving on.
definitely a story.
Yeah. What's like kind of bothering me? No real-time strategy games have been mentioned so far.
It's
Well, you
because
know what
we're
my
not
favorite
Jason.
real-time strategy game is?
What?
It's StarCraft 2.
StarCraft 2. I remember playing that.
Generica too.
It's not a bad RTS game. It's
It's
just
outdated.
a different type of RTS game.
It's incredibly outdated and has very little to do with actual strategy.
Yeah, I would kind of agree to you to a certain extent. There is a lot of since late game, there's a lot of abilities you have to focus on, so it's also kind of your reaction time.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast.
When a
people
player is
can-
measured in how fast he can type on the keyboard,
Exactly.
you know
That is
Yeah,
that
but
is
it's not
less
just that,
strategy.
though.
That is less strategy. But speaking from a strictly gameplay perspective, it's a strategy game. It does have strategy.
Well, I have to say, it did revolutionize the esports scene, so it has to be.
Well, obviously.
The fir-
StarCraft 2 is
ever-
currently free too.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I play Company of Heroes, and I think that's a pretty good strategy game. It was free. It was free for some time, but now it costs money.
Wow.
So back in days, I played Command and Conquer.
Command and Conquer 4 is undoubtedly one of the best strategy games.
No, it's one of the worst strategy games. Stop bringing this up. I hate you. It ruined the entire franchise. But I do feel like real-time strategy games are highly underrated in today's day and age. I actually wrote an article about it, about how strategy games rose and become dominant in the gaming scene and then fell out of favor because graphics were getting good.
And people are getting dumb.
Well, what are your thoughts on graphics?
Graphics is an important part of a game.
I believe that graphics isn't necessarily important to the merits of a game. I believe it just showcases the game's technology in a visual way.
I think graphics is incredibly important, especially to the narrative of a game, because a good graphical style can reinforce the narrative themes. but
That's
it shouldn't be
absolutely
the
correct.
be all
Well,
win all.
I think that has kind of more to do with style than it does the actual technological aspect of graphics.
Also, better graphics, and especially more photorealistic ones, means that the game's more immersive and the world feels more alive around you.
That is true, but anyways, that is true. But speaking from a purely technical perspective, graphics aren't everything. I mean, if you look at Minecraft's graphics, it's not particularly the best, but it is still Minecraft is still an incredible game. So I feel like graphics do play a part in determining how
Well,
good a
it
game
really
is.
depends on your definition of graphics.
Well, graphics is the visual aspect of the game.
Well, style versus graphics, I guess, is in distinctions.
That is true. Well, when I think graphics, I think kind of from a technical perspective.
Okay.
And if you think about it, Pac-Man graphics are pretty bad, but it doesn't stop it from being a classic.
Why not? They're just stylized, so they don't
Exactly.
need it.
So yeah, so there's the graphics is definitely not that important, but it does matter sometimes. Not that much though. And honestly, graphics has come a long way. And here's the interesting thing about that is Crysis 3 is being remastered. And Crysis 3 back in the days when it first came out was a milestone for what graphics are capable of. But nowadays, it's just kind of like, any game could do it. Anybody could run it. And I bring that up because if you've actually seen Crysis 3 gameplay and its graphics, it's absolutely amazing for its time. But nowadays, it's kind of like, everybody could do it. It's not impressive anymore. So I'm really excited to see the Crysis 3 remaster and how better the graphics they could make.
Just like how Half-Life 2's facial emotions were absolutely revolutionary in its time.
Half-Life 2 was a really revolutionary game.
Especially in the physics department.
Yes, Half-Life 2 is a physics-based action first-person shooter thing.
Especially since Half-Life Alyx is out, it's not a bad time to revisit the older titles.
Another interesting thing about Half-Life 2 is that it prided itself in telling the story without the use of cutscenes, which I find to be quite admirable.
To be fair, there's a lot of parts where you just stand around and wait for an NPC. I wouldn't just call that a cutscene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm saying that it tells a story without cutscenes.
Segments.
You have to wait for Alex to walk around.
No, I'm saying that it tells a story without cutscenes.
I would call that a cutscene.
It's more immersive than a cutscene, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's still an attempt.
Yeah.
Unlike most AAA games these days, that kind of have a bunch of cutscenes.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
The crowd is displeased.
The crowd is displeased.
I don't know, man.
I mean, cutscenes, if employed properly, could help, but sometimes it just kind of bogs the gameplay down. Like Doom Eternal, I'm just saying. Speaking of Doom Eternal, I want that game.
Alright, is there anything else we're talking about here?
Yeah. Do you guys not have any other video game suggestions? Or
I do, actually.
no, what is it?
Dude, all of mine were already mentioned.
F.
I would like to recommend Arma 3 if there's anyone out there interested in military shooters, the realistic kind, not the Hollywood.
Silly
we
kind.
have a cadet corps.
It's too realistic.
Yeah, and
Too
how many people
realistic.
actually like the cadet corps?
I like it.
That's the point.
It's too realistic.
It's not too realistic.
Not too. Settings are perfectly adjustable to suit any kind of first-person shooter.
Plus, I like
I tried
the
to fly
realism.
a plane, and I turned, and I just died.
That's what. Okay, anyways.
That's
Nice.
toxic.
I mean, I like the realism aspect of it. I really enjoy it.
I jump and I break my leg.
That's kind of what happens in real life, or whatever.
No, Alfred doesn't break his leg. He just bounces.
Just crumples, snaps.
Yeah, imagine bee hopping in real life.
You can do it.
Do it.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, strafe in the middle of the air.
I mean, it has mods. It has
I mean, like in real life.
a
Can you
decent
not strafe in the
campaign.
middle of the air? Easy.
I don't think you can.
Can you?
Just weak.
Bro.
Anyways, Arma 3 is
You
quite a
were-
good game. It's kind of like Minecraft, and that's a sandbox game, and it's infinitely moddable.
Dude, it's
And it's
literally
really fun with
impossible
friends.
to change your direction in the middle of the air.
What, in Arma?
No,
Or in real life? I mean, figure
Alfred, if
skaters
you
do
were a
it.
3-turn runner like me, you'd be able to change direction
I think we're
mid-air.
getting off topic.
It's literally impossible.
We're getting off topic.
Yes,
Anyways,
sir.
Arma 3 would be a good choice. I would totally vote for it. You know what else? I've never played Valorant, so does anyone want to talk about Valorant?
mean,
Uh,
Paul
It's
has
being
very
overhyped.
good-
if you want to play Valorant and you don't play CS right now, just play CS.
Or play TF2 for that.
No, Valorant is a tactical shooter.
There's tactics. No, there isn't. Never
Then just
No,
play
there
Arma.
mind.
The Arma doesn't have a large competitive community.
Unfortunately.
Why?
Mostly
That is
it's
true.
mostly it's just unit versus units, but
But
Yeah.
that's not like a league.
it's not.
And you can't solo queue.
So
Yeah,
global
technically,
You
no,
can
you
actually.
can. You
Imagine
can.
solo queuing an Arma and it just you show up one against the regiment.
So, I think we should. I think we could put stuff on a top 10 list.
You know what else we should? I recommend.
What?
I also recommend. Okay, okay, cut this part out because I forgot.
No,
I was about to say.
I'm not
something.
cutting it out.
He's not cutting it.
I'm not cutting it
Cut
out.
it out.
No.
Oh yeah, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord.
Ah,
That's
that thing.
That's like $40.
You think anybody in SAC would be actually interested in that?
Yes.
I thought
Just play
everybody. I
Mountain
thought
Blade
everybody just played
Warband.
sports games.
Warband.
Well, if we're talking about sports
I
games,
They're all the same. People are idiots for wasting their money on.
Copy and paste.
dude, that is
Marshall,
literally
you just
every
insulted
single
our
video
viewer
game.
base.
That
Yeah,
doesn't,
whatever.
that
Who
is
cares?
Such a, that's
I want
such a
controversy.
That's such a hypocritical.
In what way is that hypocrite?
Yeah, every Mountain Blade Warband is
Why,
the
why,
same.
why are you shaming people for liking certain things, and then you just decide to call that just?
Oh, that's right.
I
Alfred plays
wouldn't-
sports games.
Oh, no wonder.
Well, I'm not just saying. I don't like.
There's nothing wrong with sports games, but I just don't feel like
What's
you should
wrong with
pay.
sports
I just don't think you should pay full price for the same thing year after year. That's my only problem with it.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of.
Is
That
that-
is kind of what they're used to, though, because that's the type of people who play Call of Duty and Battlefield and are okay with that.
At least, well,
That's low key and microaggression right there.
What?
I don't know. Depends on
Marshall
which.
loves talking about micro.
Depends on what
Marshall just said
studio.
microaggression.
Depends on what studio makes the Call of Duty games. It gotta be really good or really bad.
Same
I'm just
goes for
saying.
literally every game.
No, but Call of Duty is like different because they have I think 3 studios. I think it's Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch. But they all make like Call of Duty games.
Yeah, so you get like the same game
So
every like.
no, you get
other
like different
3 years.
variations. For example, Black Ops. No,
Like their game
Um,
series are very different from each other, but
Yes.
each game in a series.
in
is
the
very
within the
similar.
series, I would. Okay, there are some exceptions to that rule, but yes, you're correct. And obviously, that is not a good thing, at least in my opinion. If I'm going to pay,
It's very familiar though. So
if I'm
like,
going
you
to
buy
pay-
a Call-
well, some of the times it's different enough that it's worth paying the money for. Like Call of
You're kinda
Duty.
forced to, though, because
Modern
the last
Warfare.
game dies after the new one's released.
I mean, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and then Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 added in Spec Ops. That's like the only thing. And it,
F.
Spec Ops, that's it. And then Modern Warfare 3, just kind of continue with it. You know what? It does get repetitive, but at least it's not sports games. The sports game is, I don't understand why you can't just like update the existing game. Sure, I guess graphics, but are graphics really getting anywhere these days?
Well, I mean, the graphical differences are very much.
EA really likes money is the reason here.
And even if you are going to do this, does it have to be full price, like $80-something?
It's really.
Well,
expensive.
people are paying for it, so yes.
Oh,
it
that's
has to
true.
be.
Gosh darn it.
Let the market speak.
But
That
anyways,
is
that's just
true.
kind of my problem with sports games. It's just that they're really expensive, and you're not really getting that much out of it. I still have NHL 16, like
If they're having fun, who cares?
on the Xbox 360. so-
Exactly. That's true.
Alfred's on the defensive now.
Well, I mean, there's
Okay,
nothing
but tell
wrong
me,
with liking
what's
sports games.
what's the difference? Okay, I like this, like that.
Well, most online arguments boil down to I like this thing. People who don't like this thing. I don't like this thing. People who like this thing. Hey, you know that there's people out there who likes this thing, right? And then
Yeah, there's this thing that you
arguments
like,
continue.
and then there's a game for it, and then the other thing is true.
And there's nothing
But
wrong
you
with
just don't
liking
like
that.
the other thing.
Yeah.
So you decide to call it just terrible.
That's like arguing the superiority of a musket over an AR-15.
Well, yeah, obviously
What?
the musket fires a larger caliber and
Okay, that's
usually
not
kills
even
in
a
one
fair
shot. It is the
comparison.
superior firearm. Also, if you hold
But
it, you
it-
grow a mustache.
There's no subjectivism to AR-15s versus muskets.
Yes, there is. One is clearly superior.
No,
because
the
of
point is
mustache.
with online arguments, it's often
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
oh,
you can like a game, like, but how?
and you don't
how-
have to
how do you
attack someone for
prove that
liking
it's
something.
empirically superior to another. How do you do that?
What?
You look it through. You could try.
You can't. You can't do that with art.
Sure.
Are video games art?
I don't know. It's good.
Ah, it's a good debate. Yes, they
Video
are.
games are art. We're also
Yes, they are art.
for the use of Humvees in their video games.
So,
Yeah, some video games are genuinely beautiful.
so like terrible video games that have terrible acts in them should be protected as a form of speech.
Yes. Just like terrible art.
I mean, there's nothing. Oh, okay. Again, we're kind of off topic. Back to the sports video games. There's nothing wrong with liking sports video games. I just don't particularly like
Marshall,
it.
what is your argument against it? Because what I'm hearing is basically
Why is this a thing? Can we talk about something else?
My argument is just that it's overpriced. That's it. Like it shouldn't be. It's overpriced and
I
it
mean-
shouldn't be.
that's completely fair.
Yeah. So that's my point. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, it's also a fun quarantine game, I suppose.
That's true.
Marshall goes quiet.
I mean, I think you could play online multiplayer.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. There you go.
Alfred Kwan, NBA 2K owner.
Alfred Kwan, console gamer.
There's nothing wrong with
His
Okay,
using a
now
computer's
console.
that's-
better than yours, Marshall.
That's a whole nother
Whole
debate,
nother
right?
debate.
Console versus PC. Well,
Nothing
I mean,
wrong
I
with
feel
owning a
both.
console.
Well, what are your PC specs, Marshall? Let's compare.
No. We're simply debating the.
You call me a console.
We're
gamer.
It's
debating.
immediately turned into a ruler measuring
We're simply
contest.
we're simply debating the merits of owning a console and owning a PC.
I mean, there's nothing. I feel like if you have a PC, you just have more control. over
Each
your
yes,
brain.
each have their own advantages and disadvantages.
The
Okay.
skill ceiling for a PC game is definitely higher than.
Also, a PC.
There's a limited number of things you can do with a couple buttons and some joysticks.
With
Also,
console,
A PC offers unlimited utility.
Imagine playing
only video
Arma
games.
on a controller.
you can't do
Not
that.
only in video games.
On a
You
Wii
can't. You just
remote.
can't. You just can't.
On a
Don't even
Wii
try.
remote.
But consoles also have their own advantages, being that you can't really cheat on consoles. They're
Are you
much better
challenging?
optimized.
That is true.
Since there's only one specific hardware you have to optimize for, and generally they're less expensive. I say generally, but I know that you could build a similar spec PC from parts bought separately that would cost around the same.
Yeah.
But if you don't want all the hassle, you could just get
That's
a console.
$50 to pay somebody else to do it.
I'll tell you why.
There's sometimes, not always, console exclusives.
That is so true.
And I'll just leave it
You
at that.
Wait a few years.
I'll just leave it
That
at
just
that.
proves how versatile the PC is. Simply use an emulator and keep on going.
Ah, yes, piracy.
Completely.
No, you need to buy the game and then actually shove the disc into your PC.
Yeah, but this is why there's two sides. That's why it's a debate. Not really a
And also, yes,
particularly wrong aspect about it.
on PC you can pirate things. How cool!
Wow.
It's also
Actually,
illegal.
Our local
Also-
expert on
It's also
piracy.
illegal.
Illegal.
Hello RCMP. I'm just kidding. But
RCMP isn't in charge of this stuff.
each has their own advantages. Disadvantages.
But I would argue that PC has more advantages.
From a certain point of view. I'm just saying.
Well, I'll tell you the argument for consoles and why I started consoles. It's so much more easy to go play and just sit on a couch and put your hands on a controller.
So
You
you
can do
sit
that
on a
with a
couch.
You can do that with a PC.
Have you done it?
Yes.
I don't own a controller, but you can do it in theory.
And also,
You can, but like
You just choose
Theoretical
not to. You bought a
implementations.
second computer to put on the couch.
you can literally game.
well, that's part of the convenience. Do I want to go frickin' set up my PC and connect to a TV or
But you
Are you
bought a
saying-
second thing anyways.
Are you
so-
saying that PC is inconvenient? I can literally alt tab between Zoom classes and my Minecraft.
I'm
or
not
whatever.
saying it's
Marshall, no.
Interesting.
Cut that out.
No.
No.
Nah.
We're not cutting anything out here.
We're not cutting
We should
anything
make
out.
that the intro.
Yo, you know how podcasts like they take a segment of like the middle and it's
Preview?
like super and it's like super heated or something and they beginning we do that. We should do that.
I'm
You're
gonna I'm
saying
gonna
that-
rewatch this later, and then it's just gonna be like,
It's just gonna me committing war crimes on the school.
whoa.
Marshall.
Let's wrap this up.
We've already talked about this. Oh, so I too have a house meeting. Anyways, yeah. In conclusion, top 10. Number 1, I would say Minecraft. Minecraft. Number
Everyone
2.
loves Minecraft.
Number 2,
Terraria.
I would say Counter Strike. No, Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2 and Counter Strike, since they're based on the same.
Sure. Why not?
And that's it.
Number 3.
When are we updating to the new engine?
Don't worry about it.
No one's
Number 3.
updating.
Number 3. Terraria.
Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls.
I would say Terraria.
Oh, yeah,
It has a much less like skill ceiling, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means more people could play it.
Casual.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with being a casual gamer.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, number 3 I would say Terraria. Number 4,
Excellent.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
Sure, why
Kind
not?
of a niche game though.
It is not a niche game, actually.
Number 5, BioShock.
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 Seriously, play it. It's amazing. It was one of the defining games of my childhood, at least. Man, it was so good.
Oh man, it is. So...
Number 5. Did we already do number 5? I lost count.
I don't know anymore.
The next one will be
Armor 3. No, but seriously, Armor 3. It's worth it. It's worth it for its price. Tons of mods. Played with your friends.
It
Great
takes
game.
a special
Buy it
kind.
on
It
sale.
takes a special kind of person to play it.
Special
yeah,
forces.
special like
Special
English is
forces.
hard. Marshall's a special person.
Yeah, that's why he's in special forces. In Arma, at least.
Ops.
And then yeah. Great. Anyone else has any other comments?
Well, as always, stay safe.
And also check out the Thistle. Stay at home.
Please do check out.
No, please do. Writing a publication council is struggling here. All right. Thank you for listening.
That's blog.sac.on.ca/thethistle.
Have a good day.
Y'all couldn't get a.
What?
You guys couldn't get a URL for that.
That is a URL. What are you
Yeah.
Alright, everyone, it's time to play Arma. Paul's playing Arma, so I'm launching.
Oh, it's still recording. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording it now.